rose and began once again. We serve in the shadows, we carry the weight with stories that matter. Don't let them wait. Every story matters, from bases to war zones, from tearful reunions to cold nights alone. Spouses and veterans, hearts that won't quit, telling the truth about all of it.
Welcome back, everyone. We are doing yet another one of our wonderful military panel discussions, and I am very excited again to have Erika and Maria with me. For everyone who is new and maybe not seen one of these, Erika, would you like to quickly introduce yourself, and then Maria, you'll go ahead?
My name's Erika, and I've been a Air Force wife for 13 and a half years, and my husband now works for the Army as a civilian. So we've been doing this gig for 20 years now. Have been overseas 3 times. We have spent most of his DoD career overseas, actually. I did the math not too long ago. That's pretty much us in a very short nutshell.
Okay, Maria.
I'm Maria. I am a life coach. I work with military wives and really women going through different transitions, whether that's getting out of the military, moving, or children moving out, whatever it is. You can find my coaching on Instagram. My husband retired about 1.5 years ago from the Army after 20 years, and we did one overseas tour.
Yeah, that's honestly part of the reason why I love having you guys on, is because you've got different military experience and background than I do. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about travel. And I have done a lot of travel and road tripping with kids being in the military, but I know that you guys have probably done just as much, if not more, and it's different. You've traveled internationally, and I know, Maria, you've said you've done Space A too, right?
Once, yep.
Okay, why don't you quickly explain what Space A is for anyone who doesn't know what that is?
It is space available. So basically, when the military is moving from one area to another, moving cargo, if they have room available, you can sign up, and they let family members and retired family members do it. For the active duty, your sponsor has to be with you. Same with the retired, like the sponsor has to be there. Unless you're stationed overseas, then when we were overseas, I was able to fly without my husband coming back to the States. And it's usually only OCONUS. I've heard of a few exceptions where they let you go stateside, but usually it's more going overseas that those flights are used for.
Yeah. And Erika, have you done Space A as well?
Oh, yeah. We've done it maybe about 3 times over the course of my husband's career.
So for you guys, what would be your number 1 or 2 main points that you would want to share and help someone understand before they did Space A? Starting with Erika, and then we'll go to Maria.
That leave, be cognitive of your leave. There's a possibility, depending on the category that's called, there's 6 categories. You can travel on emergency leave orders. That is dependent on your circumstances. Though Maria might remember more of this better than I do, because my husband did all this stuff and I was just the one kind of tagging along. I just remember there being this thing called emergency leave or EML, I forget, orders, and he traveled with us, and it allowed us to travel at a category 3. So essentially, you have a higher chance of your name getting called for Space A on a flight to, let's say, back to the States. This was when we were in Okinawa, Japan, and we were trying to get a flight back to the US. And and then there was another time we were flying from Ramstein to the US. We had a layover, not even a layover, we got stuck in Dover because, as the term says, it's self-explanatory, space available. The flight can literally last minute say, sorry, there are no seats on this flight. and then you're stuck at that location until another flight becomes available with space available. So there's a chance you could get stuck somewhere for a day, 2 days, and you have to be cognitive of your leave. So you have to have that cushion of your travel time getting back to your duty station when you have to report back to work. That's the trickiest part, is getting back on time and not having to bug your leadership that, oh, I got stuck, and risking not so much going AWOL, but it's just a pain in the butt for everybody and a real nuisance.
Yeah. And Maria, you said that there's you run into some stuff with like paperwork and different things. You did do some of the paperwork at one point, right?
Our paperwork was wrong because how she kind of talked about, she was flying with her spouse, so she was a level 3. The paperwork that the commander had done for us put us at a level 5, but because we were coming from Korea, we would have actually been a level 4. And when we were in Japan, we ended up meeting another Army captain by chance, just kind of randomly. His wife was going out on emergency leave, and so she was actually a level 1. And he looked at, and so we just kept missing it. Like we couldn't get flights by like 1 seat. And he looked at our paperwork and goes, well, you live in Korea. This is kind of a compassionate thing that you're going back to the States. We can actually move you up a level. So he redid the paperwork, sent it to our commander in Korea, and they got it he got it taken care of immediately, was like, this needs to be fixed. And then we were able to get out the next day because it bumped us up just that level.
Yeah, and that's something I've heard from almost anyone who's traveled Space A, is that expect delays. Just expect it and be prepared to be waiting for a flight, because it's better to be prepared to wait for a flight than to not be and get stuck in that position. Because almost anyone I know who's traveled Space A has been waiting for a flight at some point. The one person I know, my brother-in-law, when we had his father, so when my father-in-law passed away, they were stationed in Germany, and I know they were able to use Space A, and they were able to get here expedited, no problem. I think because it was a level 1, because of his parents' death. But then trying to get home, they, for some reason, knocked them down several categories because it was no longer an emergency to get them back to their duty station. And so they were stuck for 4 days trying to get onto a flight. And I'm not even sure what happened. I just remember hearing the complaints from my sister-in-law about having to wait around for 4 days waiting for a flight. So that's something to take in consideration. Okay, I've not been on these flights. So they're like a normal carrier plane. They're not like a passenger plane. What comforts and accommodations should you plan for? Because it's going to be different.
I think it depends on what you get on, because like there's now a flight that goes from Seattle to Korea, and it's a commercial flight. But
Really?
if they have room available, you can get on it. Like when I did with my kids, it was a cargo flight. Like you had the jump seats. You could pay to get a sack lunch. The retirees, some of them had sleeping mats. They gave everybody like a little army green blanket, and it was cold. I remember just being cold and like huddled up because it was a night flight, and I had no idea what we were walking into. But then like going out of Alaska, once again, it was still the cargo flight, but they were doing tactical things. And so they let the kids be like, yeah, we want to go to the right. We want to go to the left. So they took off and landed with the hatch open. So that was kind of cool.
Oh my.
So you're going to get a gambit of different things, I think, depending on what the flight is, where it's going, and what their mission is requiring. Mm-hmm. And the captain has the discretion to say, no, he's not taking anybody.
Yeah.
So like when we got out of Korea, we were told, no, they're not taking anybody. And we just happened to be sitting there, and the captain's like, you guys want to go to Japan? And we're like, yeah. And he goes, fine, I'll take them.
That's so awesome.
So it's really, I think, kind of a hit or miss.
Yeah, it really is. We've flown on what we call the rotator, which is the chartered flight for PCS moves, which is like the nice commercial flights. We've flown a tanker, and that was honestly the funnest one that we did, was that one where You brought your own sleeping bag. You could just sleep on the floor. And yeah, it was hard. Yes, it was cold, but the sleeping bags that we had. But it was the best sleep I had. And I didn't think I was going to get much sleep on that, flight. But man, I fell asleep like cold turkey. And the next thing I knew, I was being tapped on the shoulder by my husband. Hey, it's time to get up, get in the seat and strap in, because it's funny because the seats that we were in were on the side of the plane. So you're sitting sideways as you're taking off and landing. And it's such a weird feeling because your body shifts like vertically, it shifts to the left or the right, not forwards or backwards. And it's one of the most memorable flights. And yeah, they usually have like a flight kitchen there on the flight line. You can order what we called box nasties. And usually those box nasties are good. You get maybe like a chicken sandwich or two chicken sandwiches with like a little potato salad or macaroni salad, chips, and a drink. Maybe a little thing of cookies. And yeah, it's literally space available. I need to get to said location. So it's whatever flight happens to be going in that direction on their mission. And if they have room to bring people on the flight to take them there, then you can hop on. It's like hitchhiking, like going my way,
Yeah. And that was the issue my in-laws ran into is there was people flying into the base that was nearest to where family and the funeral was happening, but there was no one leaving to go to Europe from there. So they ended up having to get a commercial flight to somewhere on the coast because that's where they were told there would be more flights back to Europe. And so, yeah, it just depends on what the mission is. The other thing is what Erika was describing for you guys who can't visualize it, the seats are not in rows where you're facing the front of the plane. They're on the sides of the plane. And so you're facing the person on the other side of the plane. And so that's why you tilt sideways forward, like left or right when you're landing and taking off instead of forward or back. But yeah, if anyone who's not seen inside these, like a picture inside these, that's the visualization. So that's Space A, and that is something I've never had the chance to experience, but I've heard tons about. But traveling in general with kids or family, it can be interesting. I know for us, we do a lot of road trips, and we've done road trips with babies all the way up. And I have to say, honestly, for any trip, the biggest hack I have for little kids, and this is so that when we get to wherever we're going, I'm not the one making, because when you're on vacation or when you've got a funeral or you've got whatever, the last thing I want to do is be digging through people's duffel bags trying to find them clothes because they can't find clothes. I do that regularly. So what I do is I have Ziploc bags, and in each Ziploc bag, it'll have the kid's name, what day, and then a full set of clothes. It'll have a shirt, pants, socks, underwear, everything they need. And that way I can tell my husband, or now as the kids have gotten older, but like, go get this bag of clothes and put it on. Pajamas, Sunday clothes, whatever it is. And that way I'm not sitting there trying to dress people. And then we have just a collective hamper that is one of those portable, like college hampers. And that's what they put all their dirty clothes in. And that's helped us. But like, what are some travel tricks or tips that you guys have used with kids, without kids, that have just made the trip less stressful? I mean, traveling is always stressful, but
When my kids were little and like before GPS, so you could go to the McDonald's website and you could map your trip by where they had play areas.
I miss that.
Like you would go to McDonald's.com, like on the web, and you would put in from location A to location B, and it would show you where all the McDonald's with playgrounds were.
We do that with Chick-fil-A's now because McDonald's don't all have them.
Right. All Chick-fil-A's don't have them either, actually.
Yeah, we just recently found that out, and my children were not happy with me.
Yeah. They either have a playground or they have a break room for their employees. It's one or the other for most Chick-fil-A's. I did not know that, but I recently
wow.
found that. But yeah, so you could plan your trip like on where you wanted to take your breaks.
Wow.
But we also don't plan like a whole lot. I don't say we've never been like, we have to get to here. We just go. And when we need to stop, we stop. If we want to stop early or late. So I don't book hotels ahead of time, which I know some people probably think is crazy. We'll just find one. And then as it's gotten later, we have a travel trailer now. So now we really don't. We're like, okay, when we go, we go. We know the time frame we have to get there. And we use like the Road Trippers app and find like random things on the side of the road. And we're like, let's go look at that. We're bored. We're done with this. So I'm not a great one because I really don't plan. But when we did have to go into hotels, I kind of did one bag per day and everybody's stuff would be in one bag. So we only had to take one suitcase out. So if it was going to be a 5-day trip, we'd have 5 suitcases and everybody had a change of clothes and pajamas in that one suitcase. And then we had a toiletry bag.
Yeah, I've done that before too. I'm a massive planner. My husband would love me to be more like you, Maria, but I'm not. I'm OCD. I have to know where we're stopping for gas and where we're stopping for food and where we're stopping to, because that's how I survive mentally. Because I need a light at the end of the tunnel. Because after so long in with the vehicle with the whining kids, are we there yet? I need to have a goal, or I'm gonna lose my mind. So I'm not a chill traveler. I wish I was. Erica, what about you? What have you done?
Oh, well, my kids are grown and they were raised in an era where that technology kind of evolved with them. So it's not like they were born into the world of tablets and cell phones as we know it today. So we didn't have the luxury of handing them a tablet for a screen in the back seat. It was just old school. If we happened to have both the boys with us, it was decks of cards, actual toys.
Mhm.
And our road trips were never any more than like 5.5 hours. We're not really big road trip family. If we're traveling more than 5 hours, that's going to be an overnight stay, like a weekend. And anything beyond that, I'm flying, because I'm not doing that whole road trip thing and sitting in a car for hours and hours on end. We drove from Colorado to Florida, and it was just me and Raph and our little dog. And even then I was like, okay, clearly I am not about the journey. I am about the destination. And Raph is the complete opposite. He's all about the journey, and the destination can wait. And I'm like, nope, I'm not. But
So, what are some tips for flying then that you have found helpful with kids? Because that is a different experience than road tripping.
my boys loved flying. So they were always just chill. There was usually, we bought those portable DVD players, and I always had a library of Disney movies and shows and had my own library. I never really fully relied on what the airline would have. So I would set them up with headphones that had the cord with the splitter, so they could share one screen and each have their own headphones, and just watch Disney movies on the flight. Snacks, of course, back then you could
Yeah.
well, no. I had one son born in 99. The other one was born in 2003. So yeah, I mean, they were chill kids. They never were ones to, they weren't the type to, are we there yet? Are we there yet? They just didn't mind it. They were like, whatever. And yeah, I don't know. And also I'm divorced and remarried. So, having both the kids together was always fragmented. So most of the time, if we traveled, it was just my husband, myself, and our son. And Christian was always chill. Like his first flight ever as an infant, we flew from Florida to Texas for Raph's his Air Force graduation, basic training graduation. And the lady that was sitting next to us apparently was a very well seasoned frequent flyer. This is my first time flying too, ever on a plane, and my child too. So I'm kind of freaking out. And she looked over at the end of the flight and she said, I have flown many, many times, and I don't know what you're doing, but your baby is like the best baby ever. I mean, he didn't, and I expected him to cry, scream, you know, with his ears hurting and the pressure. I had bottles on him with water and formula. You know, I had everything in my arsenal to help this child with the ears popping. And I thought he was just going to be screaming and wailing. Not a peep. He just sat there the whole time like this. That's it. The whole time, just looking around like this. And yeah, I kind of eerie. I'm like, child, you are not normal. But even to this day, I tell him, you are not normal, child. You're not normal. I love you, but you're not normal.
My oldest has flown more than any of my other kids because he was the first, and that was inexpensive at the time because we only had one kid. Now we have 4. We don't fly. We're not going to fly for a while.
Yeah.
But no, he was like that too. He was super chill. He loved it. But I have taken almost all of them on a plane at one point, just when like there's been family emergencies.
Yeah.
And my youngest son was the screamer. And I felt bad for everybody because he just lost his crap and screamed for 30 minutes and there was nothing we could do. And then my mother-in-law was with me and she was like panicking. And I'm like, dude, that's just how he is. He's going to scream until he's done screaming. And then finally he was done screaming. He took one deep breath, grabbed his pacifier, put it in his mouth finally, laid down and fell asleep. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes you can't predict which they're going to be. Maria, what about you? Have you flown with kids?
Well, yeah, we came back from Korea with 6 kids. So a 6-week-old newborn, an 18-month-old, and then our 4 other kids. So, you know, and they had us all over the airplane, which I think was really dumb on the Army's part. Like they didn't make sure we got seats together. And my boys were beside some guy and he goes, in-house entertainment. I don't want to hear you the whole 13-hour flight. There was the way they had us. I wanted one of the guys on the flight to trade me seats so I could put a car seat. So it was in front of my other daughter. And he's like, no, this is my seat. And I was like, okay. And my daughter that was behind him was a baby, my 18-month-old. And she kicked and screamed and kicked his seat and cried for probably the first hour and a half of the flight. And he got drunk and he was like, control your kid. And I said, maybe you should have moved me seats. I asked him. You kind of got what you deserved because you wanted to be a jerk and not switch because he was like, well, this is my seat. And I'm like, look, I'm just trying to get my kids together so that I can help everybody out. And he's like, no. And I was like, not my problem, yours. But we don't fly a lot with our kids. We're more we drive. We have driven from every major highway across the country and back. We've gone from El Paso to Canada, New York to California. So we actually like road trips. My kids are like, we haven't gone anywhere. When are we going for a long drive? Let's go. So even as they get older now, they're like, what can we go and do? Let's drive somewhere.
So we're getting to the point where, because we had the oldest group really close together, road tripping when they were all toddlers was basically just hell. Because they would feed off each other and their crankiness. Now we throw on audiobooks. They love summer because come summer, they unlock a new Harry Potter book. Because I was like, I want my kids to grow with Harry Potter like we grew with Harry Potter. And so they unlocked a new Harry Potter book this summer. And so they couldn't wait to go on a road trip. And we could just listen to all the Harry Potter books again. And so we've learned audiobooks are a huge thing that help my kids survive and stay sane. I will pack treats, and at every stop, like for gas or bathroom or whatever, whoever has not annoyed anyone in the car gets a treat. But if you annoyed someone during that segment, you don't get your treat. And then for the toddler, we're still trying to figure it out because half the time she's good with that and half the time she's not. We've tried toys, I never know what's that the toddler is unpredictable. Baby cuteness doesn't know if she likes road tripping or not. She hasn't made up her mind. So she likes hotels. So if we are stopping at a hotel, we just keep reminding her that we're going to hotel. And she's like, okay, hotel, hotel, because she loves hotels. I don't understand why, but she loves them. So if we're going to a hotel, then everything's okay.
One thing that I did do when
Anything?
my kids were little and we were going is we would have goodie bags. And so like at each stop, after the stop, when we got back in, they could get a new bag, and each bag had a different treat, a snack in it, a different activity they could do. We also lucked out. We had a video player in our vehicle, so we could watch a lot of movies, like you said, the audiobooks. And so we did a lot of things like that too.
Yeah, we've the other thing we've done is we'll break it up. Sometimes we'll drive through the night. My husband, we're getting a little older now, so that's harder. But when he was younger, he was like, "Dude, you just sleep. Y'all sleep, I'll drive." And he could drive straight through the night, no problem. And I swear it's just the being military and they can sleep anywhere or not sleep. I don't know. They just do better with no sleep. I didn't. But it's getting to the point where I can't even sleep well in a vehicle. And so we're planning a trip to see family and with holidays. And I'm like, honey, we're going to need to stop halfway through. I can't do 12 hours without hurting someone anymore. And he's like, fine. So he's now starting to accept, but we've learned that sometimes hotels will be more expensive. So we started looking for Airbnbs. I'm going to regret saying this, but Verbos and Airbnbs can be really great, or camping, not in the winter. Well, depending on where you are. In Arizona or in the South in the winter might be fine, but in know where you're at. So the hotels are not, you don't always have to stop at a hotel. I love that, Maria, you guys have got that's what my husband wants. He wants a little camping pop-up trailer or something like that because that's what he wants to do to road trip.
Oh, it is so nice. And then when you get where you're going, you still have your own space. So my husband's like, I'm done with people. I'm going to go sit in my trailer and I'm going to crank my AC as high as I want and I'm going to lay under it.
Yeah, that's a hard thing for us because we're cheap. And so if we've splurged to buy airplane tickets, we rarely get a rental car. And then I feel extra trapped because I can't travel wherever I want, whenever I want. I'm dependent on other people. And that has been stressful. So road tripping and having our own vehicle at the end of the trip has been nice because then if I'm like, oh, I'm going to go to the store and get something, I can disappear if I need to be alone because I'm in a house full of, oh my gosh. Sometimes we've done get-togethers with family and it's like 50 people in one place and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I need alone time. I might be an extrovert, but I can only do that so much. Okay, well, wrapping this up, one last thing. Any last minute tips, tricks, or anything else y'all want to share?
No, I think parents nowadays that are raising little ones have a lot more than we did. I kind of wish I could have handed my kids a tablet, and with pre-programmed, like even just little games. But we were fortunate; the boys are really good about traveling. So, with what we had at our disposal in the era that we raised them in, we did. We lived. No one died. We didn't kill each other.
Yeah, Maria. Any last? If you had to give a piece of advice to a young family?
I think just relax. Like you're going to get there. You're going to have periods where they cry, but they're just fine. And I would honestly, depending on how long it is, I would turn off the electronics for part of it. Tell them to look out the window. Have them get a map. Have them look at it and figure it out. Like we would have our kids navigate for us. And I kind of think it's fun. Because even now, like, we'll take a teenager home and I'm like, okay, get me to your house. And they're like, I don't know how to get there. And I'm like, guess we're sitting here. Let's figure this out. How do you think we get there? Like, they got to have some sense of direction. And so I think that was something too. And it was fun for them, like, to get a map and, okay, you know, we could show them the big thing. Okay, what are we doing? And so sometimes we would go on crazy detours because they'd be like, oh, we're going this one. We'd be like, okay, let's do it. But I'm not as scheduled. I'm a little bit more open to that flexibility. So really find what works for your family. Erika doesn't like road trips. She's going to fly. And there is something to be said about flying. I'm like, now I love it. I'm like, I can fly. I get like 2 more days there with them than spending the 2 days driving.
Yeah, no, there's perks to everything. And I think it's also a time of life and the situation. Like when I've had to go home for emergencies, it's been much better to just hop on a plane. But for like big family vacations, a road trip, honestly, that's the other downside. I feel like sometimes as military families, we spend so much of our vacation time going to visit family because we're away from family that we don't get a lot of time with just our nucleus of family. And so that's why road trips, especially if you do it the Maria way, evidently, where you stop and have fun along the way, you're having your own family unit time and you get to see the other family too. So finding that balance, we decided we were going to just take our kids camping, and we not with family, not with anyone else. And so we just went out and went camping with our kids and had some alone time with just our kids, where there was no technology and no cell phone reception for my husband to get distracted with. Um, the unplugging and getting off the grid has been great, but everyone just know that how you travel and what you do, it doesn't have to look the same as anyone else. Get lots of advice, get a lot of different perspectives, and then cherry pick whatever works for your family. And if something doesn't work, try something new. But yeah, that's basically, I'm with holidays coming up, with everything coming up, Christmas and whatnot, just thought this would be a great way to break down and figure out, what has worked for some people and what doesn't. So hopefully it's been helpful. And again, thank you, Maria and Erika, for sharing your experience. Because, I've never done Space A. And that's always good to know that you've got lots of different options and you don't have to just do it the same old way. So, remember, please, to like, share, and subscribe. Erika, Maria, anything you want to plug that you guys are working on?
No.
And your degree, Maria, I know that. Erika, how's your channel going?
Well, it's been stagnant since the holidays last year. We've just hit some pretty gnarly family things. If it hasn't been medical stuff, it's been just unfortunate series of events in family. So I've just been stream surfing on friends' YouTube channels. They invite me on to just chat, like coffee and chit chat. So anywhere from Lorena Creole to WW Pro, T3PO, or we talk theme parks, pop culture, entertainment, that kind of niche of conversation. And as far as our channel goes, it had started out as being expats living in Germany and early empty nesters. Halloween clearly has it's evolved into a hobby over the years. So I vlogged some of our elaborate Halloween decorating. But yeah, things have really been just stagnant, and we're just trying to figure out where to go from here on the channel. We're not giving up on YouTube. We still want to do it. It's just what direction do we really want to go in? And of course, as a typical DoD family, we're in limbo. We're living literally day to day on getting word if we will be moving back to the States from Germany. And that's a huge mental distraction, because I'm having a hard time seeing past just PCSing back to the States, because it's such an enormous move. And I'm over it. Like, I'm being ready to go back to the States. I've been in that for over a year. I've made for the past 2 years. I'm So
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's, you know what, it's okay to, I've had to reinvent my channel too, like find a new niche, a new thing.
mhm.
So it's all right. And honestly, thank you for being willing to be on here and talk about your military experience. I'm grateful you're doing this too. So but anybody who does want to check out Erika, she has posted some fun stuff on her channel. And yeah, she usually is on Lorena Creole. I will do that with her sometimes. And then Pro and all those are really great too. She's got great insights into theme park stuff just because she's a Florida girl and has all the connections. So, and then Maria is working on her degree. And I know that when she gets that done, I have all the faith in you, girly. You'll be back to full strength, and you guys should check her out. She is an amazing support for military spouses. So, thank you both for doing this, and we'll catch you next time on this panel.
You're welcome.
Spouses and veterans, hearts that won't quit, telling the truth about all of it. This life we live is hard and real, giving a voice to the lives that we live. This life we live is warm but strong, and every story deserves its song.